Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of Leadership Point of View. And I'm your host, Hugo Pereira. I have been a scale-up operator for the last 15 years and also tap into a lot of topics around leadership development and team leadership. And this is like going to be the ninth episode or the ninth series session. And so I see some familiar faces or familiar names already on the chat. So that's nice to see recurring guests. But for the ones that haven't seen it, Leadership Point of View is a webinar video podcast series that focuses on sharp insights and different ways of thinking about leadership topics or themes and the evolving workplace. We have normally a 25-minute working session, so it's really short to the point, inspirational, normally over lunch, and then afterwards you take those insights, and it's mostly to share unique perspectives on most critical leadership challenges. So for today, you sign up for what sets great founders apart and some of the leadership patterns for success. And who better to share their thoughts about this than Ricardo Jacinto? He's a managing partner at Shilling, Portugal's foremost early stage VC firm. And he's going to dive into the patterns, behaviors that he sees that sets exceptional founders apart. And also, he backed numerous startups and founders. He focused on specific leadership qualities, and we already were talking about different ways of seeing the founder world. And with that, I welcome Ricardo to the stage. Ricardo, welcome to the leadership Point of View. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks Hugo for the invite. It's a pleasure to share my experience, and yeah, happy to be here and to share my ideas.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. And for the rest of the audience that is here, feel free to introduce and where you come from and what brings you to today's topic. What is one question that you would have? Initially, we're going to have a conversation, and then we'll look into the questions you might have, bring them on board, try to make this as interactive and insightful as it gets. So, Ricardo, you probably saw over, 100 to 200 founders over the last couple of years. I know it's a bigger question of what sets them apart, but maybe let's get started by the question about, is there a specific behavior trait that you tend to see that distinguish founders that make it happen versus the ones that don't?
Thanks, Hugo. Actually, I think we have backed more than 100. So I've seen, I think, more than 1,000 or 2,000 over the last 12 years I've been working in VC. So maybe just a quick introduction on my side, just for you. I think it can be, because it's funny, because I'm also a founder in a company, in a tech company. So I actually have the perspective on both sides, which I think is interesting for the conversation. So basically, Ricardo, a partner at Shilling, as Hugo was saying, a venture capital fund based out of Lisbon, investing across Europe. Early stage focused, pre-seed, seed, sector agnostic, investing up to 1 million checks. And then on my founder hat, I'm a co-founder, CFO of an IoT company developing hardware and software for unattended machines, from vending machines to EV chargers. I run this on a part-time basis, but I do know, or I do see the difficulties and face the challenges of being a founder, a tech founder. Without all the resources that we need, and without all the capacity to invest in what we would like. So I think it's a little bit complementary on how I look into this specific issue. And it's funny because I think there's a lot of things that we can look at when you think about how you can actually become a successful founder and create a successful company. And it's an ongoing discussion on at Shilling, and looking on the more than 70 companies already invested over these 12 years. It's really funny to try to understand traits and patterns. Although, let me completely, and I'll start with this. Let me be completely honest and transparent. This is an outliers game, so there are no specific recipes for success. And we have seen it all, and we have seen things that we don't believe that are working, and the other way around, that things that we believe are completely the best idea and recipe that didn't work at all. So it's really an outliers game, and it's really also a numbers game. So for us, on a more VC kind of perspective, But we do believe there are a few traits or a few characteristics of a founder, of a team, that are really relevant for their own success, but also for the company's success. So I will just highlight two things before even going to those traits, which is, I think, but it's also actually a trait, which is be very self-aware of what you are and what you want. And it's really important to know the type of challenge and the type of journey you are going into when you decide to do a VC-backed company, opposite to a more bootstrapped company. And both journeys are perfectly legit, perfectly fine, perfectly okay to make a good story. But it's completely different journeys, completely different types of traits and journeys and challenges. So though for me, it's one of the biggest initial points for you to understand, for a founder to understand, is, am I the right person, or do I want to start this endeavor, this journey, knowing that it's probably one of the most difficult jobs in the world? So that's a question I think founders need to do before jumping into a VC or a tech company or a VC-backed company, even better. So then there's a lot of things that we could discuss: team versus solo founder, team size, equity distribution. I think we are believers that teams are also better than solo founders. We have invested in both. We are now joking. In the last year, we had unfortunately a few struggles with a few problems with founders that break apart, and very good friends for many years that decided to build a company 5 years ago, and then they got really fed up with each other, and into a point that they really wanted to close the company and go separate ways. So it was that bad. So we these days we joke that eventually solo founder is better because there's potentially no problems with the founder dynamics. So joking aside, we do believe teams, it's a better fit for a VC-backed company. It's a really difficult job. It's a really painful and stressful job. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So having someone on your side to discuss, to brainstorm, to share the pains and the ups and downs, we do believe it's really important. Even if you are a solo founder, at some point you have to have someone in the team, senior level, or a kind of late co-founders, or very key employees, key team members that can make a little bit that part together with you on addressing the challenges and the problems and celebrating the wins and overcoming the lows. So that's really important to have a team, even if it's not a founder team, but a team that complements your skills. And then also important if it's a founding team, so X number of founders. Also important, and we have seen as well some disputes on the equity distribution. And most of the times, first-time founders think, let's split this way, let's split equally between us. And in fact, over time, that's not the best decision, because over time, people will not be as executive, as supportive, as giving so much to the company as they are needed. So it's always great to have that conversation on who can have more impact in the long run in the company, but obviously have that capacity to reassess over time, and eventually even have the capacity, and I mean like legal instruments, to have the capacity to rearrange if necessary over time. Really, because I think it sets or it sets the incentives and the alignment between parties, and gives the capacity to reward someone that is being more impactful for the company, but also um, um, it's better to manage expectations and frustrations as well. So really important, this equity split, founder dynamics, importance, capacity to reassess and readjust over time, really important. And then more personal traits, more personal characteristics. There's a few that I really, really like. And one of the things that I really like the most at this point, at least personally, it's ambition, it's desire to make it happen, no matter the cost. Like, well, ethically speaking, obviously making everything legally speaking, but you just don't give up until you make it. You know, it's really that hunger, that angriness of really wanting so much to make it happen that you don't give up until you make it. So I think that one is really, really relevant. Without that, it's really difficult to make it, because you will have so many hurdles along the way that if you don't have that ambition and willingness and desire, you will at some point give up or not do the right thing or not do your job properly. So that's the first that I would mention. Second one is resilience. Also a little bit related to the first one, but really have a tough skin, really have capacity to receive all the hits you'll get over time, over the journey. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. I have fought so many times with my CEO co-founder. Even today, I was fighting with him, like on the next goals for the next year. So it's really, you really have to thick skin, because you will be punched a lot of times, and you have to be really prepared for a very stressful and difficult process and journey. And then very important to have fast decision making, fast pace. A VC-backed company, it's always about achieve milestones, achieve results in the fastest way possible. And you will fail. Everybody fails several times along the way, but you need to make sure that you realize as fast as possible that you did a mistake and that you need to turn it around as fast as possible. A good example of this is hiring. I've seen so many times hire failures, and to waste too much time on correcting or fixing that hiring, it's a problem. It's definitely something that you need to react fast and make the call of fixing the issue, because these VC-backed companies are always running out of money. So whenever you lose 3 months by fixing a mistake, it's less money, less time you have to actually get to the milestones you need for the next fundraise. So really fast-paced, really fast decision process, and really fast learning skills. You really need to learn and understand very quickly what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to achieve. And it's funny because obviously a lot of times we like to see founders with experience on a specific industry, but once again, there's not a recipe. This is an outliers game. And I even sometimes like to see people that are coming from coming not from the industry, with no preconceived ideas on what should work and what should not work, and trying to completely think outside of the box to make things completely different, to really disrupt an industry. So capacity to interact, to hear your clients, to hear your partners, and really learn fast and adjust fast and iterate fast. It's really, really, really important. Also, for a potential VC-backed company success story. And then I think there's a few things that are really important as well. Execution capacity, fundraising skills. Fundraising skills is really relevant for a VC-backed company, because you are always fundraising. I think in the first maybe 1 or 2 years when you are pre-seed seed, you need to do a lot of stuff. But we believe, Shilling believes that at some point the CEO is all about fundraising and hiring the best people that can help you along the journey. So fundraising, hiring is really relevant to make sure that you are always on top of your company, on top of your product, on top of your clients, and really making sure that you are on track to reach the milestones and the goals you need to achieve to continue the journey. Obviously, communication skills, also execution capacity, also long-term vision, very important skills. I would put them on a second layer, very important layer, but still second layer, because if you have all the others, the resilience, the ambition, the fast learning skills and decision making, then I think you will learn with a job and you will be better over time more and more. So, and then I'll shut up here because we need to give time to.
Yeah, no, this was great. I took so many notes. Funny enough, on the resilience, that was actually the main point of conversation this morning in a podcast, the Breakout Growth podcast of Chanel. They had Gina, the former growth of Duolingo. She now founded an educational company. They raised like some 10-30 million without any line of code or nothing. So it's a trust on the team. And they were talking to her, and everything she was saying is that I just trust my grit. Yeah, I just trust my resilience to get there. And the same across the founding team that she has. So it was interesting that she highlighted this is my winning my winning skill. I'm just gonna get there no matter what, which I found really interesting that she highlighted that one. One thing that I was curious about on what you mentioned about the ambition to drive the resilience, and I was thinking about how do you balance the ambition and the fast pace with the grounded view of the business as a founder? Because I was just curious, hey, you have ambitions. Have you found situations where the founder is highly ambitious, but then it trumps the grounding of not looking at the data in the right way, and then the ambition trumps the reality check? And is it that a good founder keeps on being ambitious, like crazy ambition, or is it a good founder actually sets back and says, "Hey, I'm actually going on the wrong direction or the wrong ambition"? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. That's a very important question. That's a very difficult balance to get. And I think it's much easier when it's a team, not a solo founder, because I think it's really. I'll give you my example. That's exactly my case. My CEO is completely crazy sometimes, and I'm the finance guy. My background is completely finance. Let's say, Diogo, calm down. Maybe we cannot do everything that you want to do. So I think it's easier when you have like someone on the team, like important in the team, with also the right and the same vision and the same alignment, but trying to make it a little more down to earth, because it can just go bust because you went too fast or you went too crazy or you did something that it didn't make sense. So it's really a difficult balance, but it's important to have that balance. And I think it's easier to get with a team than a single person. But I think you always need to talk to your clients, to look at the data and making sure the ambition is there. But this is a long term. This is a long term or a long time journey. So you need to make quick steps and fast steps and iterate fast, but you need to make sure that you don't overstep and you don't do steps larger than you can at any single point in time.
The other question I have, and then afterwards I see that Alex has 2 questions. Alex, no worries, I'll get to you. But before that one, there was this whole debate about the founder mode versus manager mode. There was this whole thing that came on the web, still sometimes from time to time. And it's interesting because you mentioned your vision is like, as they start fundraising, the CEO, and I also have a question about the difference of a founder and a CEO, if there is a difference in your view. But as they fundraise, how do you see if their role is that and then finding the best people how did you saw those whole conversation of founder mode and manager mode? Was that something that actually even became a conversation, or was something that you or the team saw as like, this is just a vanity conversation? But so I'm curious.
No, it's. I think it was so highlighted and so discussed over the last few months. But I think it has a really good reason for it, because once again, I can give you my example. We hired a very manager guy, like very experienced, 50 something years old, and it was a completely failure. And we understood, yeah, that's not the type of profiles we need. We need to have people that really are ambitious, eager to learn, and eager to grow fast. And I think it's a matter of culture. It's a matter of fit with the culture. And I think and I think most of the people, not there's once again, there's always exceptions, but most of the people that come from a little more of the corporate world, let's say, their mindsets, the way they work, their preconceived ideas, their preconceived ways of working are completely different than a startup, in terms of not having all the resources, not having all the answers, not having everything defined, not having a budget to manage. Then a lot of times you need to adjust the budgets a lot of times. So I think this is even more important in earlier stages, pre-seed, seed, Series A. I think it gets a little less relevant in maybe Series B, D, C, and beyond. But I think that conversation started with the guys from Airbnb saying that and Airbnb is already like way beyond, right? So the Series A's and B's and C's. But I think it's a cultural thing and a cultural mindset that I think it's difficult to find in people that are not used to this thing, to this way of working, this way of living almost. And it comes back to my initial point on self-awareness. You really need to understand if you have the traits and desire and the willingness to go into this journey, and you really need to understand what the journey is. Talk to people in startups. I do believe a lot actually personally that the founder mode, manager mode is quite a big discussion, and I'm more into the founder mode than the manager mode.
No, nice, thanks for that. Now, picking up from Alex, I think you had a question. Maybe let's get started right with this one, which is for yourself. How do you manage being a VC and a founder at the same time? How do you manage this, Ricardo? Do you split the days? How do you?
That's funny. I do most of my work on my company on extra times, like nights, weekends. That's where I have most of the time for my company. Obviously, sometimes there are a few things that we need to discuss or some meetings that we need to have on the weekend, during the week. But I think the most important point is that, fortunately enough, I have a CEO which I trust completely, and I know he has all the right skills to make it happen. So I'm here. He's completely the leader. It's completely clear he's the leader, and I'm the one giving my input on the decision-making process, and then I manage the finance and the investment side, which is not at least for now, a full-time job. So, and then we have 25 people in the team. So it's already not a huge scale, but it's already an interesting scale to have all the support we need to make it happen. So it was funny. We hired someone to help me on the finance side this year, beginning of this year. So my life improved significantly when I got someone to help me on that side. So now it's much easier. Now I really focus on where I can add some value. But before that was really difficult, actually. So, but yeah, it's maybe giving a little of your time on the after hours, because my full-time job is Shilling, is VC. So yeah, and I have two small girls, so my wife helps a lot as well. But yeah, it's not easy, but it's manageable and doable at least so far. But the team and the CEO or a team and the rest of our co-founders are really important for make sure that you actually can dedicate only to what you can add value on a part-time basis.
Okay. And the other one from Alex was about how should he or other founders go about deciding if he should raise funds or go bootstrap to realize the mission of his company or the team mission. Yeah. So I know there's a little bit of like a bootstrap founder versus a VC-backed founder. It might be good to highlight what are the potential differences that you see in the lifestyle, because you probably met quite a few of those. Yeah.
Yeah, lifestyle wise, it's very different. It's you control your own destiny, your own life. You pretty much decide if you want to go faster or slower. Up to you. Obviously, you need to pay the bills at the end of the month. So I would say that go as bootstrapped as possible, as much as possible, because I think you can control your destiny and journey. Obviously, there are projects that it's pretty much not possible because you need to it's a deep tech company with a lot of stuff you need to develop before you have something to show to the market. So it's much more difficult. There are cases that it's pretty much impossible, I guess, to make it bootstrapped. But if you have, for instance, a consumer play, most of the times it's pretty possible to do a bootstrap business early on, and then you see how it goes. I'm a truly believer as well that less resources enhances your creativity and puts you thinking outside the box to find solutions. That was exactly my case, our case. It's a hardware company. Everybody hates hardware, including me. So it was difficult to raise money. So we had to find ways we did some projects, some side projects, more or less related to what we were building to get some money. We first developed a very simple product that Mark was asking for, not really relevant for our core product, but it was a good source of revenues. So I'm a truly believer that you should have actually less resources than more resources, but obviously adjusted to the task you have in hand, right? So I would, if possible, I would go bootstrap until you can, or if you want to completely crush the world and be kind of the number one player in the world in what you're building, then you have to go VC all the way from the very beginning. So
okay. Thanks, Ricardo. One last one as we wrap up, unless someone has a question that they want to take on, but if not, then the last one I have is that one thing that was not mentioned, and the reason why I'm mentioning it because it was a heavy mention when I joined, a few years ago. I was part of this Antler program, this kind of accelerator programs, and it was quite interesting. And there was a lot of emphasis on domain expertise as a founder, that you really know your domain. So this hasn't been mentioned now, so I'm just curious, have you seen that a domain expertise is the pre-default setup for a successful founder, or a founder that sets apart from the other ones? Is that a key differentiator, or no? You have seen people that excel without any expertise in the field.
That's also a great question. I think it's fair to say that domain experience and expertise, I think, helps on navigating through the industry, navigating to potential, even on your network, getting to clients, getting to partners. So it can be very helpful. I do believe it's not the main trait, because we have backed founders that were not from industry, from a specific industry, healthcare, for instance, which is very complex, very long sales cycles, very structured with strict rules and so on. And they were able to crack it. Still early, obviously, but they were able to do something with the not so much resources that they had. They were pretty good at doing that, with trying to pretty much break everything that they could. And I think sometimes if you are not coming from the industry, you think differently, and then sometimes it's good and bad. Obviously, it can have more frictions, but if you can overcome those frictions, then eventually you have a completely different solution than everyone else. So I do believe it could be interesting, as long as the other things, the the
Yeah, that's
ambition, the
wonderful.
resilience, the learning curve, the decision making, and so on are there as well.
Okay, fantastic. Good way to wrap up. We are on the clock. So, Ricardo,
Cool.
thank you so much for joining. For everyone else, thanks for participating. And you're going to receive the recording a few moments after this is over. And yeah, thanks so much for joining, and have a lovely Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Hugo, as well.